Hi, everyone. I am so excited to welcome you. I am Jennifer Marshall, co-founder and executive director of This Is My Brave, and welcome to tonight's sneak peek of our first ever national teen show. In November of 2019, we launched our This Is My Brave High School Edition show in my hometown of Hershey, Pennsylvania, and the response was overwhelming. We knew we needed to do more for our youth. Then COVID-19 happened. 2020 was a year that tested everyone's mental health, but the pandemic has hit young people especially hard. With distance learning, activities and sports seasons canceled, and the uncertainty over when things would return to any sense of normal, it's no surprise that teens are struggling now more than ever with their mental health. We at This Is My Brave knew we needed to give youth the stage to talk about what they're going through in terms of their mental health. Over this past year, we found incredibly talented teens from across the country who were motivated to share messages of hope on how they're not only surviving mental health issues, but thriving despite them. I can't wait for you to get to know them through this virtual experience. They have impressed us since day one and have each put so much time and energy into making this show a huge success. Watching their confidence grow throughout this process has been both a privilege and a joy. We couldn't be more proud of them. We are so grateful to our 2021 national sponsors. Their support helped make this show possible. So thank you to AbbVie, Alkermes, Janssen, Sage Therapeutics, Synovian, and the Nathan Cummings Foundation. We are also excited to announce our newest 2021 national sponsor, BetterHelp, the world's largest network of professional, licensed online counselors. I also want to give a shout out to our This Is My Brave program managers, Katie Grana and Erin Gallagher, for all their hard work on this event. Katie is behind the scenes today making the magic happen, and you'll get to meet Erin at the end of the show as she moderates the Q&A. Be sure to stay with us because as soon as the credits finish rolling, you'll get to interact live with our teens. So chat with us during the show, enjoy. This Is My Brave's mission is to empower individuals to put their names and faces on their true stories of recovery from mental illness and addiction. These brave, talented teens you're about to meet have stepped into this mission with their full hearts. They know that by sharing their stories, others out there will realize they're not alone, that it's okay to not be okay, and that it gets better. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, and we'll see you at the end.
Thought there was no way out. Yeah, I used to be scared of the light, and I was swallowed by doubt. I'd forgotten what freedom was like. Puzzle pieces on the floor, they don't fit in anymore. I'm changing, I'm changing. When they ask you who I am, what I've done and where I've been, there's one thing I want you to say. Tell 'em I'm brave, see it on my face. I am bigger than anything coming my way. It's a new day, now I'm not afraid. So if anyone asks you how I overcame
word brave means having the courage to face your fears. You know, you grab your fear by your face and you headbutt it.
Brave means to have courage and stay strong and standing, even in the face of adversity.
People don't realize that bravery and resilience and persistence are just as important as skills like adding and reading and writing.
All I ever wanted was to be listened to and be heard. Now I finally have that chance.
Sharing my story has made me feel very free. I feel like almost nothing else can stop me if I'm able to use my voice. My name is Jada Bromberg. I'm 17 years old and I live in Fairfax, Virginia. The first word that always pops into my head when thinking about my experiences in life is why. What's the reason behind it? For months at a time, I would feel depressed from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. Anxiety took over my mind and body, and the light at the end of the tunnel quickly seemed to fade out. All I wanted was for my emotional pain to go away, for my thoughts to silence, to feel peace and be riding an ocean's wave rather than sinking under it. I felt so bad on the inside that making myself hurt on the outside, I believed, was the only way to cope. I've been in therapy for 4 years, and I've worked hard every single day to get where I am now. I was in denial for 3 of those years that being relinquished by my birth parents as an infant was traumatic. Trauma lives in a person's body. It lives in mine. No matter how fortunate I am, nothing can take away my beginning. No one thing makes me unworthy or unlovable. I was in denial, but now I am learning to accept. Hiding how I felt only made me feel worse and alone. Speaking out about my journey, which is continuously changing, and becoming a passionate mental health advocate has lifted the biggest weight off my shoulders. More specifically, music and writing my own songs is how I express myself, and is also my #1 coping skill to this day. I've been singing my entire life, quite literally, as I sang my first notes on a bus ride in China, shortly after my parents held me for the first time, at just 13 months old. My journey has not been easy, and nor will it be in the future, but even having gone through the hardest parts, I'm still here.
I wish that I could be someone I recognize. It's just so easy to believe I shouldn't cry. Only for a minute do I stop and think that I'm lying to myself. Should probably get some help. I'm waiting on you to tell me I'm worthy of love. I'm waiting on you to believe I'm not messed up. Promise the truth to myself and not you. Who's here to tell me I'm perfect? Who's here to tell me I'm worth it? In the silence, is anyone there? Am I left in my despair? But the silence doesn't last long. My identity is lost in the fog. When it clears, I'm still here. I'm still here. The times when I wake up from all this hell I'm in, I get a glimpse of real life, so I know I'm still alive. Then my heart pops. I'm living on the highest high, feeling aware. I get a breath of fresh air. I'm waiting on you to of love. I'm waiting on you to believe I'm not messed up. Promise the truth to myself and not you. Who's here to tell me I'm perfect? Who's here to tell me I'm worth it? In the silence, is anyone there? Am I left in my despair? But the silence doesn't last long. My identity is lost in the fog. When it clears, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm here to tell myself I love you. I'm here to believe in who I am. In the battle, my strength isn't near. It's okay to shed a tear, but the silence doesn't last long. If you choose to take the mask off, I'm still here. I'm still here.
It's weird the way our bodies work. When a moving object comes out of nowhere, there's two typical reactions. You either move out of the way, or you get hit. But what happens when the moving object comes out of nowhere? That's the funny thing about trauma. It comes out of nowhere. It comes when you least expect it. It comes and it hits you right in the middle of the road, leaving you with nothing to do but get hit. It's just collision. They don't warn you about the pain. They don't tell you about the aftermath. There's just diagnosis. They don't tell you how you'll end up standing in the police station at 14 years old filing a report. Instead, they tell you to move on. They tell you to get it together because lots of people have it worse than you do. So you develop an eating disorder. You get OCD, PTSD, depression, anxiety, the lists go on, the labels go on. You become someone you don't recognize as self-harm takes over your body. You start to ponder life. You become the person you promised yourself you wouldn't, until you aren't her anymore. You learn to fight. You learn to slowly love the process of healing. You become the person that you needed when you were younger. You become an advocate. So here you are speaking out for those in favor, battling mental illness. Here you are surrounded with nothing but love, appreciating the timeline of how you got to where you are. Here you are sharing your story, speaking out. Here you are, strong as ever. This is you, the same little girl who dreamed of being on Broadway. The same girl speaking out today, wanting to become a mental health advocate. My name is Abi Scully, and this is My Brave.
She combs her hair, then cleans her face, closes the door, then kneels to pray. And it don't matter that she's alone. Beast or dragon, she's going home. If I lay me down my head onto the ground, would you heal my skin? And these blisters within my skin. Another way just can't find the words to say. Cold where I lay, it's cold where I lay. Bones cracked to clay, a killer's in the way. Hot is my shame, and fire pulls my veins, and these blisters within, blisters within my skin. Another way.
Hello, my name is Aarna Dixit, she, her pronouns, and I'm a senior at Sunset High School in Portland, Oregon. I currently live on the stolen lands of the Cowlitz, Atfalati, and Kalapuya tribes. Before this, I lived in India and I moved to the US halfway through my freshman year. My Hindu identity is a huge part of who I am, and that spirituality has been a big coping mechanism when it comes to my mental health journey. Poetry has definitely been my main coping mechanism because it allows me to express what I'm feeling, and I've been writing poetry since my freshman year, since I really started struggling with my mental health. I invalidated my emotions a lot, I bottled up my emotions, and that was my main block towards healing. I didn't allow myself to recognize and acknowledge my emotions. Poems kind of chart my experience with healing, like the parts where I'm really struggling and when I'm feeling really dark, and the parts where I'm still struggling but I'm feeling more optimistic when it comes to my healing. I think one of the main things that really helped me was volunteering with the Oregon Youth Line, because that community of peers and professionals really allowed me to reflect and recognize my own mental health struggles. I believe that I'm going to heal. I'm looking forward to the future. I feel more optimistic than I do pessimistic. In fact, I think I am a more optimistic person in general, and even though I'm struggling, I have full belief that I can get through it, and I think that's the thing that's really helped me in my healing journey. My hands quiver, my leg shakes, my nerves strain as I attempt to find words for the emotions that taunt me, names for the devils that haunt me, reasons for the feelings that make the strands wither. I have stopped resisting, I have stopped trying to be happy. I let the darkness seep in, venom slithering through my veins. I let my nails pierce into my palms as thoughts stab through my mind, one after another. My skull is shattered, and I don't try to repair it. I let the weeds grow, blossom, as my soul shakes. I make no attempt to heal myself, the scars along the crevices of my body bleeding. This is my constant state now. I've stopped trying to tell myself I love myself, because I don't anymore. I can't. As the weeds of self-hate flourish, I stop fighting. I am the bystander. I am the bully. I am the victim. This is my constant state now. The darkness imprinted in every fiber of my being. I have stopped trying to live, just surviving. I don't know if I'm alive anymore or just existing. It's not always suicidal thoughts and emotional breakdowns. Sometimes it's just a constant state of self-hate, self-loathing, of fear, anxiety, of sadness, hopelessness, desperation for a distraction. I refuse to be a controlled and managed picture of perfection. I refuse to be the happy, jolly person society wants me to be. I'm a bundle of emotions, raw and undiluted. I feel with every fiber of my being. I feel happiness and sadness. I'm confident and anxious. I'm not one thing or the other. I'm an amalgamation of the emotions inside me. I cannot be controlled. I'm a force to be reckoned with. It's too much. The chaos within me, the horrors around me. I'm numb, unfeeling, because I fear feeling all at once may be my destruction. I thought it was my fault, all of it, the way I was, the way I thought, the fire and darkness burning in me, but no, it's not my fault that the world can't handle the way I burn. I'm one with the energies of this world. I am love and hate. I am sadness and joy. I am power itself. Some days I feel alive and everything has been worth it, and I'm ready to conquer destiny. Yet some days I'm lost, stumbling to find my way back into the light. Those days I don't want to get out of bed. Some days I think it's over, it's done, I'm cured now. But that twisting sensation comes back, reminding me I can't be cured and I don't need to be.
My name is MaDarrius Maximus Burgo, and I'm 19 years old. When I was 4 years old, my parents gave custody to my grandmother because they both struggled with drug addiction for many years. When I was 10, I moved back with my mother and lived in Mashpee, Massachusetts most of my life. I was in a dirt bike accident at the age of 14, and, well, from that day on, I would never be the same. I woke up out of a coma, paralyzed, unable to move. My family and doctors were surrounding me when I woke up. They make me feel like I was on a TV show. They were all staring at me. It was crazy. Hospitalized for 6 weeks, rethinking life hurt but didn't kill me. I was moved to Spalding Hospital, where they taught me how to live my life bound to a wheelchair. At first, coming home was good. Then it dawned on me my circumstances were permanent, and I fell into the abyss of anxiety and depression for a couple of years. What snapped me out of that was music and lyrics. It was the only thing that made me smile during the day, look forward to tomorrow. It took a very long time to look forward to tomorrow because it wasn't that easy, accepting that I had to be like this every single day of my life. I started writing poetry in 4th grade for a competition, and I kept rhyming forever. During my recovery, my talent was easy because I could still do that regardless of being in a wheelchair or not. It didn't matter because I was fortunate enough not to lose my mind and ability to speak. My name is MaDarrius Maximus, and this is my brave. This is for the weak who don't know how to speak. Born 2002, January 18th. Hate being 6 feet. The only time that should be is when you're under the E-A-R-T. 8 so deep, the dead can relate. Word from the great, never put fear over faith. MAC, making a change. Hear from your heart, there's something that will go through your brain. Let me explain. I'm prepared for the worst, hope for the best. Every Sunday headed to church, trying to find peace on this earth. During my quest, tussle with death, come back the best. MaDarrius Maximus. The first name I was given. If I told you I'm a God, would you think that I'm kidding? Yeah, well, me too. I ain't got no religion. Ain't Muslim or Christian, straight spiritualism. The one you hear when I'm spitting. My position and vision, so come and roll with the rhythm. Always sitting, grateful was given. The lyrics is in them. Would you take a minute to listen? They can take my people, but they can't kill my tradition. So give me a mic, I spit like I led a million lives. Got advice from Christ. Alright, anyways, yo, I'm more mad soapy than the P.O.N.D. Smoking a pipe, mashing up and out the land of the light. What's your name? MaDarrius Maximus, thought I told you. Now you're native one. When none of my can conquer. Warrior, never takes orders like a soldier. Hold up, come a bit closer. If you want some lingo, no side. Have you ever heard to Papa Nash? What's up, bird? Dirty as the dirt. As I'm writing this verse, the song due on the 4th. No time to rehearse, so I breathe. Tell the inner MC me. Jeez, we got 4 days left and we're recording in 3. According to me, yo, that's all we need. Capiche, El Capitan? The one who can't stand, the one who gotta move with his hands. So is the plan, yo. So is the plan.
I am Daijah Montoya. I'm an African-American teenage girl. I'm 16 years old. I'm at the point in life where I need to ask myself, what do I want to do with my life? I've been asking myself this question ever since I was 9 years old. I'm a dancer. I'm an actress. I am a model. I am a singer. I'm a sociologist. I'm a linguist. I'm an author of 5 books and many poems that have not been published yet. Isn't this something that's rather astonishing for just a 16-year-old to have? If so, why did these talents take me through so much torture? I have lost best friends over my love for dancing. I have lost friends over my love for learning Chinese. I have earned judgmental looks over my height. I have earned a lot of things that I did not deserve. Because of this, I went to school alone. I turned my back to the smirks, to the laughter. Yet I could still feel the piercing pain of words mark my back. I felt too weak to face the teenagers that made fun of me. They stripped me of my confidence. They tore away my happiness. They wiped off my smile. They took away my voice, all because of my hobbies. And now that I'm a homeschool student, did the torture really stop? I still suffer the harsh rippings of negativity. There was one person who was passed the baton with the title of bully. They hurt me, yet they love me. The piece that I'm going to be reading is rather a letter or a note to Daijah. I have a few questions for her and a few promises. I hope you can see her sincerity for what it is. Why do I tear myself down? Haven't I been torn down enough by other teenagers at school? When I look in the mirror, I see nothing my mom speaks of. Is this what those teenagers have seen when they looked at me? What runs through my mind? Is this what they thought when they saw me? I can't believe this. This is actually happening right now. I have taken the role of the bullies. I am bullying Daijah. I criticize her, I chastise her, I scold her, and I reprimand her to the fullest. But why? What has she ever done to me? Nothing. Nothing at all. I did not realize my role until now, and now that I think about it, I am so sorry. Please forgive me, Daijah. I know you have been through so much, and I am so sorry. I never meant to be your enemy. I never meant to hurt you. When Mom is not around, I'm all you have and I let you down. Every time I see you, I gag at the sight of you and run away from the mirror. Every time I hear you sing, I clamp my ears to block out your voice. Every time I see you dance, I shut my eyes to block out your image. I'm so sorry. This isn't what I wanted, and this isn't what you wanted. I promise I love you. I promise I want the best for you. I don't know why I put you down each time you do something you love. I can hear your voice crying out to be heard. I can see your tears on your face. I promise I can. I'm not blind. I promise I can feel your sadness, your sorrow, your loneliness. I know you can sing. I feel your passion when you let out your voice. I know you can dance. I can feel your energy when you move to the beat. I know you can write. I can see your effort when you spam the keyboard of your laptop. I am here, don't worry. I got you and I have you. I am not going anywhere. In order for us to succeed, we have to love each other. We have to embrace each other. I promise I will try. Whenever I fail to see the good in you, push me out of it. Tell me to snap out of it. I'm not a bully and I'm not those teenagers. There is nothing wrong with you. Help me remove the cloud from in front of my eyes. There is nothing wrong with you. Help me unclog my ears. There is nothing wrong with you. Help me shove the negative thoughts away. Grab a hold of Mother's love. She loves you. Go to the person who you know is there for you and never let them go. Use their words to help pull you up and gain your strength. Heal yourself with their comforting words. Rinse the wound of self-esteem with the water of reassurance. Wrap it with the bandage of love after cleansing it with the wipe of peace. Watch the wound heal, and I promise I won't snatch off the band-aid. But I will learn to control myself because I know this isn't me. One day, you will no longer need the bandage because the love will seep through it. Your skin will glisten with self-love, and the natural oil of peace will garnish your skin. The once deep scar of hurt, pain, and low self-esteem will soon leave. Learn to love yourself. Do not push away yourself from who you are. I have you. I got you. I'm not leaving you. I am not leaving you. I will learn to love you the way I did before. I promise.
Wow, that first half of the show was incredible. Thank you to Jada, Abi, Aarna, MaDarrius, and Daijah for sharing your stories with us. We wanted to give our audience a chance to grab a quick snack or a drink before the second half of the show. In the meantime, let's talk about teen mental health. According to the CDC, more than 1 in 3 high school students had experienced persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness in 2019, a 40% increase since 2009. And in 2019, approximately 1 in 6 youth reported making a suicide plan in the past year, which is a 44% increase since 2009. Take those numbers in for a second. More than 1 in 3 high school students reported feeling hopeless in 2019, and approximately 1 in 6 youth reported making a suicide plan. And that is all before the pandemic hit. We know that statistics may be impersonal, but they're still important to mention. Hopelessness is a serious concern. Plans of suicide are real issues. But we're not here to highlight the bad. We're here to show you that what you're witnessing at the show is recovery in action. Teens are resilient and able to overcome these difficulties with support from family and friends, their schools, and their communities. They need to be taken seriously and not made to feel ashamed of their circumstances. We have 10 teens, myself included, right here, right now, opening up, telling you exactly how we feel and what we need. 2020 was hard on everyone. We need your help. I'm speaking for your teen, your brother or sister, your niece or nephew, or even you. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay if this year put you in a space that you don't recognize. You're not stuck there, and you're certainly not alone. If you or someone you know is in need of support, please know that a great option is BetterHelp.com and its teen affiliate, TeenCounseling.com. We're working so hard to activate change within our generation and those to come. We want mental health to be a part of everyday conversations. We want to make mental health care accessible for all, no matter what. And as This Is My Brave executive director Jennifer Marshall always says, we dream of the day that we no longer have to call it brave for speaking openly about mental illness. We'll simply call it talking. All right, now let's get back to the show. Get ready to hear from young Elder, Ryver, Joe, and Savanna, and we'll catch you after the show for our panel discussion and Q&A with our teen storytellers themselves. See ya!
My name is Young Elder. I'm 19 years old and I live in Baltimore City. I know that people look at Baltimore as one of the deadliest cities. You know, it's so dangerous and we don't love each other. But it's hard to see the love through the trauma. So that's our job, to dig deep and find the people who are hurt and to find the people who have been affected by trauma and help heal them. My name, Young Elder, it was actually given to me by my cousin, who is like a social activist, and he just explained to me, you know, you're young, but you're wise. I just kind of adapted it, like just embracing the fact that I'm different. Music plays a really big role in my life. Writing rhymes on how I felt and experiences that I go through. Once I got to middle school is once I started to question my sexuality, so that was definitely an issue that kind of triggered mental health issues and things like that. When I attempted suicide, I believe I was 15 or 14. I was in 8th grade, so I would say 15 or 14. And I told my mother, you know, I tried to kill myself. And so she took me to the hospital, and they admitted me into Shepherd Pratt. And I told my mother, I said, you know, I think I do want to go to Shepherd Pratt because I really do want to be able to heal from this.
I'm still standing, they try to knock me down, but I'm still standing. Yeah, I got knocked around, but I'm still standing, I'm still standing. I'm still standing, I'm still standing. I'm still standing, they try to knock me down, but I'm still standing. Yeah, I got knocked around, but I'm still standing, I'm still standing. I'm still standing, I'm still standing. See, I go through some things that nobody knows, but I gotta stay solid, gotta stay on my 10 toes. Nah, I ain't rocking ice, but at least my flow is cold, and I gotta keep on grinding, cause I told them I got goals. When you got 2 choices, you win or you die. Yeah, I come from a city where you grind to survive. The devil whispering in my ears, he been telling me lies. I know you thought that it was over, but I'm back, you surprised. See, I will remain focused, I ain't never giving up. Cause what I got is talent, swear to God that this ain't luck. And I'm aiming for the top, so I'm never going back.
And I'm stronger than that rose that grew up from out the crack. Cause I'm still standing. They try to knock me down, but I'm still standing. Yeah, I got knocked around, but I'm still standing. 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 They try to knock me down, but I'm still standing. Yeah, I got knocked around, but I'm still standing. I'm still standing. I'm still standing, I'm still standing. See, you don't have a clue how much time I have invested. Put my rhymes up on this beat, then I watch you just ingest it. Gotta keep my mind right, cause I know I might be tested. If this skill was contagious, this whole room would be infected. Cause this is more than just rapping, this is a passion. You and results, gotta take actions. Rappers be faking to get a reaction. I'm staying focused, don't need no distractions. You wanna learn? Watch how I do it. Those are my words, listen or do it. I stay on my grotto, don't make no excuse to get out of my face. Cause you're being intrusive. My circle so small, call it a dot. Say that you down and you found it, they not. All that talking, you quiet on spot. You did me dirty, you thought I forgot? This is a easier walk in the park. I'm at it all day, from night until dark. I'm a little dog, but I got a big bark. I'ma keep grinding till I make my mark. I'm still standing. They try to knock me down, but I'm still standing. Yeah, I got knocked around, but I'm still standing. 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 They try to knock me down, but I'm still standing. Yeah, I got knocked around, but I'm still standing. I'm still standing. I'm still standing. I'm still standing. Look, it don't matter how many times you get knocked down, you get pushed around, you gotta get back up and keep standing. Let's get it.
Hi, my name is Ryver. I'm 16 and I live in Nashville, North Carolina. I struggle with type 2 bipolar disorder, PTSD, anxiety, and dysphoria. I was diagnosed with all of those back when I was 13. My earliest memory of being trans was when I was 3. I would dress up as Cinderella all of the time. Growing up, I remember watching my cousins and my sister. They liked boys. So, I thought, hey, if I'm a girl, maybe I should like boys. And I tried to convince myself for some years that I liked guys. Music has been my biggest coping mechanism for coping with my bipolar disorder and PTSD. The song that I'm going to be performing is a song that I wrote back in June of 2020. I wrote it on what should have been my boyfriend's 17th birthday because he ended his life before it was over. It's called Running with the Wolves. What did I say to turn you away? What could I do to make it okay? Why did you go? Why couldn't you stay? I still miss you here on this day. You left a scar over my heart. Now you're gone, it tears me apart. You're running with the wolves. No, I broke the rules. Had I answered your calls and laid down my walls, I could have healed your wounds. Now you're running with the wolves. Was my love not enough to ease your pain? Didn't know Why'd you leave this earth when you could have stayed? It's too much to bear when I can't see your face. This world's too dark without your light. I can't believe you would give up your fight. You're running with the wolves. No, I broke the rules. Didn't answer your calls. Should've laid down my walls. I could have healed your wounds. Now you're running with the wolves. I know that you are looking down on me. I know you never stop fighting for me. I hope that you are really proud of me. You made me stronger than I ever thought I could be. You made me me. Running with the wolves. I know I broke the rules and didn't answer your calls. Just know I loved you through it all. I hope you're free from your wounds and you're running with the wolves.
Hi, I'm Joe, and this is a little bit about me. I love being outside. Hiking, fishing, rock climbing, whatever it is. As long as I'm outside, I am in my element. I'm a senior in high school, specifically in Gahanna, Ohio. Go Lions. I suppose I should address the elephant in the room, mental illness. I've struggled with mental illness since the 7th grade. ADHD, anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicidal ideation, the list goes on and on, oh my god. That's not what matters. What matters is that I'm still kicking, and I'm here telling my story. But why am I telling my story? There are a few reasons. Specifically, for me. The guy who's been there, done that. For Kim, my longtime friend and also longtime safety net, which admittedly went both ways sometimes. For TJ, from the hospital, the best poet I ever met. For Gabe and Addison, my hospital homies, who witnessed me at my worst, and my poetry at its best. Funny how that works. More generally, I'm doing this for that kid. You know. Well, actually probably you don't. That's why I'm here. To tell him that it's okay to tell you. To have a conversation. That doesn't mean I have to like where I'm at. In fact, if I could cut ties with my illness, I think I'd do it. Probably write it some sort of breakup letter, or declaration of independence of sorts. Wonder what it'd look like. Dear my mental illness, when you first took hold, I was okay with it. But then your embrace grew cold, the friendliness faded, and I realized I needed out of this hole that you had dug before it became my grave. But every time I tried, I just fell back in. So I just gave up. I didn't say a word while you consumed my world. But now, a flurry of my furious words flood these pages, sounds of my shouts fill the stage, ideas leaking from my brain. You thought this was over. You thought you had me cornered. You thought you had crushed me. You thought incorrectly. I think I've found my way out. And I think I've found my way now, because this is me, frantically forming some semblance of an attack on your hideous ways. It's been planned, well thought out and calculated. Everything you do is deliberate, so everything I do has to be too. You thought you would be the death of me. Oh, in time, you will see how backwards you had it all along. I'll have my revenge. Crush you underfoot like the snake you are. How will you bite with no head? You've lived in mine for far too long. Now I'm smarter. I know your tricks. I'm stronger than I ever was. And come face me yourself, coward. That's all you are. A rat, a weasel. But you no longer control how I feel or what I do, and I will crush you underfoot like the dirt you are. And I could do it too. Because I'm not alone. No, I'm not alone. There are people who want to hear my story told, but not yours. No, not yours. You've had the floor. For the last 5 years, you've been giving me the fight of my life, and fighting you isn't easy. It takes all I have, at times nearly more, collapsed to the floor in a heap of sobbing mess, and what am I alive for? There are lows. And I know you will never willingly leave me. And as much as that'll always displease me, I think I can settle for being a mountain, and you, just a pebble. A fly on the wall that I can't quite swat. Just yet. Sincerely, Joe.
My name's Savanna Dacosta, and I'm 18 years old. It feels really interesting to say that out loud, because it was only a couple of short years ago that I wasn't so sure I'd be around to say that. I was genuinely finding myself having such a difficult time imagining or looking forward to any degree of what my future looked like because I didn't know how much longer it was going to last. I didn't know how much more weight I was going to be able to silently take on before reaching a breaking point that would have yielded no warning. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to share that I'm 18 years old. It's the same feeling that'll follow me when I cross the stage at graduation this June, and any other moment I find myself celebrating thereafter. But I don't think I mind it though. I suffer from generalized anxiety disorder, clinical depression, and bipolar disorder. I will say though, that you never would have guessed it. Behind a whole lot of bubbly smiles and laughs were a whole lot of symptoms that I didn't even know how to recognize, let alone start a conversation about. As these distorted thought patterns became more and more invasive, I grew more and more apprehensive towards sharing as I let myself give away any sense of control to something that made me feel absolutely powerless. It wasn't until it took something as drastic as my hospitalization in January of 2018, after a period of suicidal ideation, to give those as close to me as my parents even the slightest inclination that anything was wrong. And it was that experience that served as the catalyst to even begin talking about something I was just starting to understand. As I started to watch that shift take place and began to really hone in on that, I did what I usually do, and I wrote a song about it. It's called Hold Me for a Little Longer. I really wanted it to encapsulate that aspect of connection that stretches beyond shared experiences. We forget about those right next to us who maybe don't know what we're experiencing, but it's understanding that they're not going to not love you, and they're going to want to be there and want to hold on to you, even if it's just for a little longer.
Mind's going too fast to fall asleep, but I don't want to have to stay awake or plan until my fingers bleed or give away my hiding place. Please don't make me go outside. Behind these bedroom walls, I should be fine. But hold me for a little longer now and say you won't go away. All the noise gets really loud, but hold me here and I'll be okay. 'Cause there's no escaping the storm outside, but close the window, shut the blinds, we'll try to drown it out. Just hold me for a little longer now. I don't need Superman to come around and rescue me, or 12,000 marching bands to play me your heartbeat. Just please don't make me go outside. Behind these bedroom walls, I should be fine. But hold me for a little longer now and say you won't go away. All the noise gets really loud, but hold me here and I'll be okay. 'Cause there's no escaping the storm outside, but close the window, shut the blinds, we'll try to drown it out. Just hold me for a little longer now. Could we just lay here, forget about the worries and woes? 'Cause you'd put to shame, dear, any fleece-lined winter coat. And you know there's always one foot right out the door. Just promise me it won't be yours this time. Oh, this time. But hold me for a little longer now and say you won't go away. All the noise, it gets so loud, but hold me here and I'll be okay. Yeah, 'cause there's no escaping the storm outside, but close the window, shut the blinds, we'll try to drown it out. Just hold me here and I'll be okay. And I'll be okay. And I'll be okay.
Wow, what a show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for this sneak peek of our first national teen show. We have more exciting opportunities coming up for this show itself, as well as the national teen This Is My Brave teen program in general. So be sure to follow us on social media for all the updates. Also, stay tuned for more from this incredible cast of young people in the upcoming documentary Brave Teens this October, that is put together by WETA and Principal Pictures as part of the Wellbeings Project. That can be viewed this fall at wellbeings.org. Thank you so much to our storytellers, our documentary team at Principal Pictures, and the sponsors that have made this possible. If you're interested in helping spread the word about This Is My Brave, our teas are a great way to do that. You can visit our website, and under the Get Involved menu, there is a link to order Brave gear. Also, our Get Involved menu has other ways to join the This Is My Brave movement, so don't hesitate to reach out. We have our second annual Brave the Storm virtual 5K coming up June 11th to the 13th, and there's still time to join us in getting active for our mental health. So check the website and sign up. Right now, our storytellers are getting ready to go live with us for a Q&A session. Also, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, but this was their first time seeing the entire show in its entirety. We're so thrilled to get their reaction. So please post your questions in the Ask a Question box down here, and we'll get to them with our moderator, Erin, moderator and program manager. They will be also joined by a special guest, Dr. Byron McClure, who is a national certified school psychologist. He's also the founder of SEL TV, which is a great resource for schools, but also for individuals and families to learn about social and emotional learning. So check that out. We hope you enjoy this final interactive portion of tonight's event, and thank you again for being here with us.
Welcome, everyone, to this final segment of tonight's show, the panel discussion. My name is Erin Gallagher, and I am program manager with This Is My Brave, and I'll be moderating the discussion tonight. But before I introduce all of our teen panelists and our special guest, mental health professional, I just want to say that I'm completely, guys, blown away by that show. I've seen segments of it here and there, as we led up to it, but this is the first time I've just sat and given it my full attention, just soaked it all in. And I'm just amazed by all of you. And I really appreciate you guys putting it out there for us. It was really so powerful. So thank you. So I will do a quick introduction of each of our storytellers who's with us right now. We have, as I say your name, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a wave, we have Aarna and Abi and I don't see Anastasia. Okay, and Daijah. Daijah, give us a wave. Jada's here. Joe, MaDarrius, Ryver, and Savanna. We went alphabetically. That was the way we did it. Also with us tonight, as Jen mentioned, is Dr. Byron McClure, who's our mental health professional. So we invite all of you tonight to submit questions to our teens to ask them about this experience of talking openly on our platform about their conditions in these amazing, talented ways. You can talk to them about their talents, talk to them about their conditions, talk to them about what it's like coming out with their stories. We're here just to talk openly about mental illness and addiction and the experiences that these kids have had, in hopes that we'll be starting some conversations in your homes too. So let's get started. First of all, I just want to hear from you guys how you're feeling now that we've finally gotten to put these stories out. We've been working on this for now. It feels like a year. I don't know. 2020 made it feels like 2 years really, but it's been definitely a long time that we've been working on this. So how are you feeling? Savanna, I got you center. Tell us, how's it feeling for you?
It is absolutely unbelievable. I think that it's such a surreal process. I mean, all of us, like, as far as I know, took audition tapes just on our phones of ourselves in our bedrooms of these things that we've been working on. And I remember hopping on the Zoom call with Jen just about a year ago to find out about being casted in the show and to see the process of something that started out simply just in my bedroom being taken to such an insane level and getting to share that with people, and also getting to see all of you guys' pieces. You know, I throughout this entire process, we've all been doing a lot of Zoom meetings, and so a lot of times we will have two of us do our pieces and our intros, and that's how we all kind of got to see it. So to see all of my castmates and peers' pieces that I watched them do on a Zoom meeting 2-3 months ago in this format and of this caliber is absolutely unreal. And it's super full circle to finally get to be here and to get to share it with you guys. All of your comments are so unbelievable. I'm so glad you guys got to watch.
Really quick, one question came in for you, Savanna, where people want to know about where they can find your album, since that happens to be coming out this week, right?
It is. So it's my first EP. It's got 6 songs, one of which is the song you got to watch tonight. And it's called Follow Where It Goes. It comes out this Friday, May 28th. It's going to be on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all that fun stuff. Also on all of my social media pages, which I believe are in the playbill. Loads of updates over there as well. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no problem. So Elder, we didn't get a chance to introduce you before. Thank you for joining us. We're glad to have you here with us too. That completes our panel. Elder, how did you hear about This Is My Brave, and what made you interested in being a part of this?
So I heard about This Is My Brave through this organization called Healing Youth Alliance that I work with in Baltimore City, and we help make presentations on mental health. And actually one of the producers had saw one of our stories in the Baltimore Sun, so she reached out to me. And what made me really interested is because I really do want people to understand that teens do have bravery and they do have a lot of confidence, and even though things may go wrong and things may be tricky, we still always get back up, and I wanted to help show that side.
Still standing, right? I've still got that song going in my head. So great. Let's see. Daijah, how did you hear about This Is My Brave?
Actually, I first performed like an essay that I written like a year ago with Well Beings, and after that, I believe someone contacted me. I don't remember who. I have a very bad memory.
Okay.
And they told me they loved my story and they understood me, and they wanted to give me a second opportunity to tell even more about my story, my background. And so I guess I had a Zoom meeting with, I think it was Jennifer and Beth, from what I can remember. And it just started from there. So, it's really cool. I'm so happy that I got a chance to, talk about everything I've been through. And it's kind of new. It's kind of new for me to express all of my negative thoughts and everything just dark about me that no one ever seen before, because everyone that I invited to watch the show, they've always seen like this, the smiley, happy Daijah. And so this is the first time, I guess, getting a glimpse into my mind. So I'm just really grateful and glad that I was able to give it This Is My Brave.
Daijah, I just think what you shared today in your letter to yourself, I think you speak a universal truth. I mean, I think we've all had those moments where we just kind of berate ourselves and are not kind to ourselves. And so for you to articulate that so clearly, and that I just think that you spoke I just even the reconciliation of that, the way that you brought that around, and we're speaking loving thoughts to yourself and making a deal with yourself that we're going to do this together. I just thought that was really amazing. So congratulations on that amazing piece. So Ryver, I know that you submitted through the website. How did you hear about This Is My Brave?
So it was actually pretty weird. When I first saw the ad, it looked a lot different from the website. Like, it didn't really look anything like anything on the website, but it was kind of, the ad said something like, it didn't even say This Is My Brave. The way it advertised it up there didn't give much of any information. It said something like, America's Got Talent for high schoolers or something like that. And then I clicked on it, and then I was like, oh, this is a tiny bit different from what that says. But then I decided to look into it, and I was like, well, I mean, they have the information right here. So I looked into it, and I was like, I actually really agree with this, their statement. And I had I guess I submitted a song that I had just finished writing about my bipolar disorder, called Two-Faced, and I still was not very good at it, and I was also sick at the time, but I was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and send it in. And I was also kind of avoiding doing the dishes, so it gave me a good reason to not do them.
That's cool. So, there's somebody here asking if I know that you all are a little bit older, later teens, most of you. So somebody's asking, what advice would you give to somebody who's younger, maybe 12 or 13? What advice would you give about to them about being honest about any struggles that they may be having? Joe, I see you perking up on that one. So what advice would you offer a younger person who's in maybe a tough spot? What would you say?
I would offer a little bit of advice to them. I would say, sorry, that's my bird over there.
Yeah, we're excited to have your bird with us tonight too. I forgot to give you an introduction.
I would offer them the advice of, while you may be judged a little bit if you speak up, if you don't speak up and you just hold it in and it gets worse and worse and worse, then the effects of that are worse than being judged. The little bit that you will be. I would give more advice to all of the people who know this person, to say, listen to them, take them seriously, don't judge them, actually listen to what they have to say. But at the end of the day, it's easier to give advice to just one person than it is to everyone that a person knows. So,
well, you have quite an audience here, so that's good information. Aarna, what about you? Would you have? I think just your poetry is so powerful. I'd like to get have you published anything yet with your books or with your poems?
No, it's in the works.
In the works. I want it in my hands so I can just pour over it. It wasn't enough just to hear it. I needed to see it and reread it and just really take it all in. Really, really good. So what would you say to somebody who has a struggle but isn't sure what to do next?
I would say that the first step is definitely just coming to terms with the emotions you're feeling and realizing that there's nothing to fix at all. Because I think our society definitely portrays this idea that you need to be happy all the time, or you need to be a certain way, or, you need to have only certain feelings. And if you have other feelings, negative feelings a lot more, it's something bad or it's a problem. Just understanding that it's okay to feel everything you're feeling and it's valid. And sometimes the best thing to do is just go through those feelings, just sit with them and just go through them. So yeah.
Any other thoughts? Jada, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I actually started struggling with depression and anxiety when I was 13. So I guess if I think about back to that time, I would say don't be afraid to ask for help. And I know that's really hard to do, but especially me, I had a really tight bond with my middle school counselor, and she got me through a lot because a lot of middle school I was really struggling and really closing everything off. And so finding one person that you can talk to is really important. You don't have to have 10 or 10 million, of course you can, but finding at least one person so you're not bottling up all your emotions, like Aarna was saying. And I guess it could also help you, make you feel like you're not going through it alone, and maybe they don't understand everything you're going through, but to know that someone's there for you is really important.
Yeah, Savanna, you had your hand up.
Just quickly, the second I heard the question, it made me think of something. I saw this comedic figure that I actually, believe it or not, found on TikTok. But she, after a year of just absolutely skyrocketing, she finally opened up about her experience with an eating disorder. And one of the things she said is that recovery is terrifying, but it's not nearly as horrifying as staying sick. And that is something that has always stuck with me from the second that I saw it. And you've got one of two paths you can take, and they're both scary, but what's the lesser of two evils? So
you know what, Savanna, though, I want to just ask you, because you said in your intro that you didn't have the words to say how bad you were feeling. So then what? what would you tell somebody who can't even articulate, like they know they feel really bad, but they can't describe it they don't have the words to describe it. So then what would you say?
That is such a good question, especially I didn't have an answer to it in my own story.
Yeah.
But you're really killing me, Erin. That was such a good question. I think that one of the hardest things is that I didn't even know what it was at the time. And I think that it's first of all, I think the first foundation for everything related to any form of recovering is knowing that there's even something there, having some sort of reference to be like, oh, I know about this thing. Maybe what I'm experiencing is resonating with that. You know, it's about the educating and the awareness and about the conversation. I always say it's a conversation we're never going to be able to, or that's never going to be loud enough. And I think that because yes, there's the aspect of resources, but resources can't even be a conversation if you don't even know what you need resources for. And so I think, there's nothing that you owe to anybody except for honesty. And if you can be transparent about the things you are feeling, even if you don't entirely know where they are or what avenue that's going to or where it's coming from, if you can acknowledge and identify that something is not going in a way that's serving you, start there. Know what it is, know what it's doing to you, and then talk about it. You don't have to know what it is, but if you know that it's there, that's the first step.
And to kind of bounce off of that, I think you don't have to know exactly what's wrong as long as you know something is wrong, and there are people who are listening when you say something is wrong. So not all of the responsibility always needs to fall on the person who isn't feeling well. I mean,
right.
When we don't feel physically well, say our knee doesn't feel well, we don't go into the doctor and say, this is exactly what's wrong with me.
Right.
We go into the doctor and we say, my knee doesn't feel well. Can you tell me what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
There's not as much, and we have like people around us who will say, oh, well, I see that you're saying your knee doesn't feel well. Maybe you should see a doctor about this because when my knee wasn't feeling well, it was so-and-so and so-and-so. That's conversations people have.
Right.
People don't have conversations like, wow, I'm really struggling to get out of bed some days. I just don't have the motivation to do it. Oh, yeah, I've had that problem before. When I had that, it was so-and-so and so-and-so problem with my mental health.
Right.
That's not a conversation people are really having, but are the two really that different at a down and nitty-gritty level? They're not too different.
True. Okay, I think Dr. McClure might be able to shed some light on some good, solid, this was good information, Savanna and Joe, yes, and Jada, everybody. But Dr. McClure, what are your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, first, Savanna, I think you answered that brilliantly. And then Joe, if it's okay, I'm going to steal that. I think that was a great analogy. That was brilliant. But I would just add to that from my perspective and what I've seen that has been helpful for younger children is exactly what these brave teens have done today. We don't just have to verbally express these things. There are so many different variations and different forms, different outlets through music, through writing, through journaling, through art therapy is a very powerful tool as well, especially for young children. Like Joe alluded to, I know something's wrong, but I can't say I tore my meniscus. Like I might not be able to say that, but I can point you in the right direction. It's somewhere here in my lower leg, something's going on. But through a tool such as art therapy, you might be able to draw and point down here to something that's going on. And then the professionals can help extrapolate exactly what's going on. But there's so many different forms and you all are expressing that through music, through poetry, through art. And through that, I believe comes powerful healing as well, because that's communication and you're communicating your needs, you're expressing your needs. And then as you go through that healing process, you're healing the same way how you could how you communicate as well. So very well said. And Joe, I'll give you a check for that because I'm definitely stealing it.
So a question came in about dark times, and I think you all have been there and felt that. And so MaDarrius, I wonder, you talked about being in a dark place when you realized that your circumstances with your condition weren't changing. And so how were you able to pull yourself from that place into a lighter, healthier spot?
To realize a couple different things, including that my body and my soul and my mind were all different. So at first it was mostly my mind. It wasn't even the body that hurt the most. That was in the most pain. It was my mind. And it took a couple years for me to realize that it's not just that, it's more than that. So it takes time, but it's worth all the time that it takes. And each loss is usually a lesson at the end.
I love that you said that you realized that your mind was still able to make rhymes, and you knew that that was a place that brought you a lot of joy, and that you were able to tap into that. Just like Dr. McClure was saying, it's a place to start expressing what you were feeling. And so that takes a little bit of what's that darkness inside of you and gets it out of you, right? That's what I got from your testimony in your piece.
Definitely.
I actually applaud MaDarrius for actually finding something to help him through the dark times, because not everyone can do that. And I'm one of those people who definitely couldn't do that. I remember back when I went to my private school, and public and private schools, I guess I just didn't know how to think. I felt like I was ripped away from my mind and I couldn't really think about anything or handle anything. I felt like everything was just overwhelming and I didn't know where to exactly get some positivity from. And I think that's why it got worse over time. So I really applaud him for, still looking forward to the rhymes, because I didn't know what was going on. I knew that I wasn't happy. I knew that things weren't good. I knew that I was depressed, So I just wish that I would have, look forward to something and pull energy and positivity from somewhere, because I didn't have that at first. I had my mom, she was really helpful to me and I love her so much for that. But I guess I didn't have enough strength on my own. I love to dance and I love to sing. I love to learn languages, but those are the things that I was bullied about at school. So the things that I actually found strength in were the things that were torn down and the things that I abandoned because kids talked about it, and so that made me feel bad. So because of that, I didn't have anything to go to when my mom wasn't around, or when I was at school, I felt like I had to do nothing but cry. Maybe I wanted to pull out a book and read, but if I did that, they would talk about me. Maybe I wanted to go to the courtyard while eating lunch alone, like I always did, and sing, while eating, but I couldn't do that because they would talk about that. So everything that I wanted to do, to help cope with everything I was going through, it's like people just looked down on it, and I felt like they kind of, ruined it. So I really, really want to applaud MaDarrius for that. Good job, for being so strong.
Thank you very much.
So since you've all been in dark places and you're surrounded by people who love you, your parents, your friends, your family, teachers, counselors at school, but in particular, this question came in about parents. How can parents create an open space for their children to come forward and say, maybe they don't know what it is, they're hurting, they can't identify what the hurt is, but they know it's not right, they're ready to say something. What can parents do to create an environment where their kids can feel comfortable saying, I need help, I don't feel great? Ryver, go.
So first off, it's a lot easier to feel comfortable with telling someone that you need help when you know that they'll support you, and knowing that, with me growing up, I my family did not believe the way that they do now. And so anything pretty much like mental health, um, being gay, being LGBT, like anything that was out of the norm, like mental health was talked about more than the rest of it, but even that was somewhat like shunned and pushed away a little bit, and that made it a little bit harder to talk about. So I feel like it's a lot easier when parents can open up the discussion first and let their kids know that, like, you know, this is something that can happen. This is something that, you know, it's acceptable to talk about, and it's okay if you're struggling. Just let us know so we can try to help you.
I feel like this is social emotional learning almost for parents, Dr. McClure, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And River is absolutely right. And I would just add to that, it's important for parents to approach their children in these situations with a non-judgmental lens. Because if parents are judging, or if they're saying, well, when I was a kid and when I did this, well, where you're not a kid anymore, you're an adult. And I'm coming to you with something, so I need you to listen. And parents have to be non-judgmental in their approach. And I also think that it's important for parents to be able to validate the feelings of their children. It's one thing to create space. It's another thing to dismiss them once they actually come to you, because they could come to you that one time, but they won't ever come to you again. So it's very important for parents to validate their feelings. And I think one of the most important things that parents can do is listen, and just allow your children to ask questions. Like, how many times do we allow our kids to just ask questions about whatever it is that they're thinking? And when you can do that in a non-judgmental way, like, your kids will open up and ask you anything and everything. Um, and it's okay if you don't have the answers, because it will allow your children to see you as being real and being authentic. And it's okay to say, hey, I don't know, but we can figure this out together. And most importantly, it lets them know that you're on their side, which is valuable. And one activity that I think is powerful to do that, it's an activity that's called 3 Good Things. And basically what it is you're just recapping 3 good things that happen over the course of the day. It can be small, it can be big, but it creates a space for you to listen to what's going on with your kids, and even for you to share as a parent. And it might not go well the first time, the first week, but over time, it builds a space where you all can talk, have conversations, have dialogue, and start building trust with each other. I think that's a great place for parents to get started.
So I know just some of your backstories, but in terms of this validating, I wonder if any of you can speak to maybe just how your parents validated you when you were having conversations about how you were feeling. Like, what did your parents say that really kind of let you know that they were in your corner and ready to support you? Does anybody have a standout story like that?
I think one of the biggest things that, this is kind of piggybacking from a very common theme here, is that it's so, like, one of the most formative experiences as an adolescent is the moment that you realize that your parents are just normal adults who also have no idea what they're doing. Like, because you
good point, Abby. Yes. I'm sorry, Savanna. Yes.
Because also, I mean, I was also my parents' first child, so that was like a little bit extra on that end too. Because you go into your later teenage years and you're like, oh, it's wild out here, and then you realize that they're like still in that exact same place. And so one thing that is so important is as parents, there's a lot of pressure to make sure that you're doing everything right, that you can make sure that your kid turns out as right as possible. And one of the things that can sometimes hinder is setting up an environment in which all of these standards for things to turn out right, that definition starts to become a little bit of a perfectionism standard, and that can apply a lot of pressure. To dip from that a little bit, and one of the biggest things that I could possibly say, I cannot emphasize this enough, is please let your kids see you in your brokenness. Because that's going to let them know how normal that is, and how natural and humanistic moments like that are, to understand again just how human everything is, and to know that it's not deviating from some standard, to just experience.
Like, we're all perfect, and now you've fallen down and this is bad for us. Like, we're all, yeah, I see what you're saying.
100%. And I think too, it's such a big thing to understand what things can look like. I say this all the time, but especially in teenagers, so many symptoms look like teenager things. It can come off as like they're just being lazy, as opposed to getting out of bed feels like I'm pushing against a brick wall. There are so many different aspects of this. And I think I said this in the last question that I touched on, but the understanding and awareness of how so many things can manifest, and understanding that it's not always going to be one assumption, understanding the different options that there are, the different paths that something can look like, is so important. And being open to what something could look like, and open to the idea that it's not what it seems on the surface.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off of Savanna, actually, because the only reason I got help is because my parents asked me, if I was struggling, and they're the ones who asked me if I was self-harming, and I confided in them. And so it's really about parents asking their teens like how their mental health is, and if you're realizing something is off, or maybe you're thinking that they're completely fine. Like, either way, asking them how they are, and maybe having to ask a couple of times, because it's the always, oh, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. Like, if you really ask them and then really like leave room for them to speak about it, that's really how like the conversation starts, and it really kind of just bounces from there. And the more you talk about it, the easier it gets. And I feel like for me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys on here, if not all of you, that is just the more we share our stories, the easier it feels to share them. So
it's true. Abby, we haven't heard from you yet down there. Any thoughts on this?
Okay, so coming from a huge family, I feel like as far as like confiding in parents go, the biggest thing for me and my parents to understand was that out of all 10 children that we have, every child is different. No two kids are the same, and no two kids are going to react the same to any circumstance thrown at them. This wasn't my mom and dad's first time dealing with a child facing mental health struggles, but it was their first time with someone who struggled to open up to them. I think, I have an older sibling that struggles. I have a younger sibling that struggles, but it was really hard for me and my mom to figure out what was best for me, because I was so different from my brothers and sisters in the way that I handled situations. I was kind of like, I was very much the black sheep. Like, I did not want to socialize with any of them. I was very locked away, and I just did not want to tell my mom and dad anything. So once me and my mom figured out what worked best for us, it really was the little things that she did. I tell people all the time, you're only going to get as much as you give. If you don't, if the parents don't make that effort to reach out, be overbearing, like be persistent. Don't let your teen, your children, don't let them pushing you away stop you. Keep being persistent, and eventually they'll finally, build up that bravery to speak up about it. But you just have to kind of continue on that path until it occurs, because they're only going to give you what you feed to them.
So one more question here is, how can parents and other adults best support you in your mental health? So now you all have identified a challenge, you're working through it, you're thriving, you're finding a way to express yourself, but what's been the best support that you've gotten from your parents in your journey to this point? Aarna, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think the best support I've gotten from my whole family is just understanding what I need. Like, sometimes I need space, sometimes I need them to listen to me, sometimes I need them to give me advice. So being flexible with like what I need and like focusing on what I need, not what they think I need, if that makes any sense. Like really focusing on what it is that I need. I think that's been definitely one of the main supports. And I would also say that my mom has always been super helpful because she's a life coach. So she does a lot of work with like psychology and mental health. So talking to her has always been super helpful. And she's the one who's always like encouraged me to be okay with whatever I'm feeling. So yeah.
So how did you work out the system? Like if you need space today, or you'd rather talk or answer questions, like, is there some code that you guys had?
No, there's not like system. It's just what my instinct or my intuition, like how I'm feeling that day. And I mean, if I need to talk to someone, I approach them or I'm left alone. So yeah.
Joe, what about you? You talk about this has been, I mean, your poem said this has been 5 years that you faced the hardest challenges. Is that true? 5 years that you went through really, really tough stuff?
It's been 6 years now, actually.
So how did you feel
six and a half.
supported?
6.5.
Wow.
But I think the way parents can best support is listen, take in what we're saying, and then don't take that as a reflection of you or your parenting. Don't say, oh, my kid self-harms, therefore I'm an awful parent, therefore I'm insulted by that. You know? Because I have been at points in my life where I did want to end it. It had nothing to do with my parents. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But it would have been very easy for my parents to think, oh my God, my child doesn't want to live anymore. Where did we go wrong? Or why does he not feel like we love him? What did we do wrong? What did he do wrong? You know, why is he so messed up? Don't get mad at your kids for being human. They are human. They will go through struggles. Do not get mad at them for having struggles or an illness. You wouldn't get mad at your child for, for stubbing their toe or for rolling their ankle. So don't get mad at them for having an anxiety disorder or for having depression or for suicidal ideation. Help them to fix it or work through it is a better way to say that.
Right.
But don't take it in and feel like you did so-and-so and need to feel insulted, because that's counterproductive and it'll just make them feel less welcome talking to you.
Yeah. So Elder, you talk in your piece about that a moment where you and your mom are kind of talking about what's the best next step for you. So how did that go with your mom? How has she continued to support you?
I really would just say like my whole life, like as far as mental health, my mom's always been there. Just somebody to talk to, somebody to go to when things just don't seem like they're going right. So she always helped me get a therapist, even though at first it felt like certain therapists didn't really understand me. She would still continue to take me to different places where I could get help. And even if I didn't like it, like she would just find a way to find something that worked for me, that helped me best express how I was feeling.
So you always felt like from your mom that this is something you could talk about?
Yeah, definitely. She just made it seem, I guess exactly how we're saying it, just make it just seem normal to not be perfect, and just showing me that things do happen, and a lot of times things happen that we don't expect, and things happen that can hurt us really, really badly. But that doesn't mean that we just stop. We go and we ask for help. Just like you would ask for help if you were hurt physically, like just being able to understand how to ask for help when you're hurting mentally.
So I really liked what you just said about even when you did reach out and go to a therapist, and recognizing that maybe that wasn't the best therapist for you. So you took some time, even, I think that's impressive that you felt, I think sometimes it's such a big step to even say, I need to go to a therapist. So the first one that comes along, I guess, is the one I have to work with. But the truth is that if you don't really jive with that person, you can say, I don't know if this is a good fit. There must be somebody else out there. Anybody had to jump around to another therapist after the first one not working out? Anybody
I've
have that
had
experience?
plenty of therapists.
Right. Yeah. So I love that too, that was understood that you were going to keep going till you found the one that worked well with you. Would you support that, Dr. McClure?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm nodding my head, and I'm glad that young elder brought that up, because we have to find the right fit. Because if you're going to a therapist and they're not listening, or they can't relate, or they're not being, helpful, like, why continue going? Like, it takes so much to take that leap to say, I need help, I can't do this by myself. And once you make that leap, you want to find someone who can meet your needs and help go on that journey with you. And I believe, just the way how I practice, it has to be like you're going on a long car ride, on a long trip, and your therapist is going to be in that passenger seat with you, helping you to arrive at your destination. And if you don't have a good wheelman with you, it's going to be a miserable trip. You're going to get off track. You might not even arrive to the appropriate destination. So you better make sure that it's a good fit, especially for those, for youth of color, for LGBTQ. You have to make sure that it is someone who is culturally responsive, who is aware of all the different intricacies that are involved as well. Because if you don't have that good fit, it's going to lead to a lot of frustration. So I'm very happy that young elder brought that up. And I advocate for that. Bring, for your first session, it's an intake session. They're asking questions to you. You should be asking questions to them, just to make sure that it's a good fit for you. And if not, it's okay to go to the next one until you find that perfect fit.
One other question that came in is, if your parents somehow you sense that they feel the stigma of mental health, what then? Like, have many of you felt that and had to overcome that with your parents, where you knew that, wow, this is the one thing I bet they thought that they wouldn't have to deal with. Now I'm going to tell them something. Anybody have that experience you want to share? No? Any advice, Dr. McClure, if you know of someone who just knows for sure, if I say this to my parents, this is really going to freak them out. They carry stigma about mental illness. And if I reveal it, they're not going to know what to do. What would you say to a student who said that to you?
Yeah, and this happens a lot more than you'll believe. And I'll use myself as an example. I identify as a Black male, and in my community, I grew up in a very religious household. And because I'm come from a very religious family, especially in the Black church, like, mental health is taboo. Like, you don't go talk about your feelings and your emotions in the Black community. You better go to church. You better pray it out. And that doesn't always work. And so, like, if you're presenting certain things to your parents, especially in the Black community, you will always run that risk. And even now, that's why a lot of my work is focused on destigmatizing mental health, so that once you actually ask for help, you're in a space for parents where they can listen, be receptive, and they might say, hey, I don't fully understand, but we're gonna figure this out together, and we can search. But we have to be in a position of, especially, advocates of mental health, to create awareness so that we can break the stigma around it, because it's a lot of fear, and really that's what parents and people are saying. I don't understand, I don't know, but we can't let their ignorance stop us from getting the help and to stop and prevent our healing. And that's why I love this platform, because we have to be brave. Like, we have to step out on that faith, because we deserve that healing and we're going to get it by any means. So
Nice. And would you recommend, I mean, if as a school professional, would you help a student have that conversation with their parent if they were really stuck and unsure of how they would respond? Is that an appropriate thing to do?
yeah, and that takes time. It's not a thing where I just hop on the phone like, "Hey, I'm gonna talk to your parents." Like, no, that can cause a lot of harm. But it takes planning, talking with the student, developing a plan of action of the best way to approach it. Oftentimes, especially in my work, we have what's called IEP meetings. Where students might have special needs or and different things like that, and parents can come to the table, and we can have discussions. There's been times where I've had to pull parents to the side, and just talk. And same thing, like I mentioned before, where parents have to listen and allow them to ask questions. I do the same thing with parents and allow them to ask questions. And a lot of times it's they genuinely just don't know, or they've never been through it, or they've been taught to do certain things. And so by listening to their concerns and their worries, I can then present them with facts of, this is the process. This is what will happen. There have been times where I have walked families to clinics, to therapists myself, and where we've had intake sessions together. But it's a process that takes time. It takes understanding. And I pride myself on being a clinician who always puts my students and families first. But as long as you have somebody who can help you on that journey, you won't have to do it by yourself. And I've been lucky to be in positions where I've been able to help students to tackle that journey so they're not alone.
So it sounds like if we had somebody watching tonight, a young person who does feel like having this conversation at this point with their parents would be hard because they perceive that their parents are not going to be receptive, they could find another trusted adult to start that conversation with in hopes of figuring out the best way to get that conversation going at home. And then from the parents, I'm hearing that you say they should validate, and I'm hearing from the kids that validating is listening, not taking it personally, and not having to fill in all the blanks with all the answers, but expressing an openness to learn more, understand more, move on a path towards healing. How did I do with that, guys? Great. All right, I have a couple shout outs from over here, so I want to make sure I get them. One is for Young Elder. This person says, thank you for quoting my all-time favorite Tupac poem, and I teach it to my students every year. So can you remind us what the Tupac quote was?
So yes, the Tupac quote is that I'm stronger than the rose that came out of the crack, which basically just represents like you can still be beautiful even though you come from ugly situations. Even situations that make it seem like it's impossible for you to grow. Because how could a rose grow from concrete? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Now I'm gonna go listen to some Tupac so I can hear how that was. And then go back and listen to your song, really, because it was great. Question for Abby. It's Chris and Pam asking this question, and they say they're so proud of you, and they want to know, when you first confided in someone, how did it make you feel after finally letting it out and sharing?
So originally fear, obviously, that's, kind of known. It is absolutely terrifying to ask for help and to confide in someone, especially for the first time. It is such, this weight that just lays heavy on you until the first time you can finally open up about it. And I think it's just dealing with that emotion was probably the hardest part. You never know who you confide in, who, they might tell or who they might share that with. There's always that in between feelings of, did I do the right thing? And absolutely, it's always the right thing to tell somebody, no matter who it is. But yes, right from the start, my first emotion was fear. And I can say that after, 4 years of finally being able to talk about it, it's just so, I don't even have words for it. It is so, I'm just honored. I'm honored to be able to share my story and have such supportive people in my corner.
So before you had to say something, when you knew it was time that you had to say something, on a scale of 1 to 10, how were you feeling? What was that number? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Where were you on that scale right before you had that you realized you should speak up?
Oh gosh, I would say I was probably at like a 2 or a 3. I was at, when I chose to speak out for the first time, I was at the point to where it wasn't really my choice to speak out for the first time. I was kind of pushed into it a little bit, but I'm very grateful for that, because I don't think I would have done it as soon as I did if I wasn't noticed. If I wasn't, if no one at my dance studio had noticed, then I wouldn't, I would not be where I am today. And going from being a 2 to now being, at one of the best places where I've been in, it is such a long and hard journey, but it is so worth it.
And so where are you now? If you were a 2 then, where did you say? I'm sorry, I was reading over on the chat. Where were you? Your number
okay,
now
I wasn't
revealed?
Yeah. Now I would say 10. I am at one of the best places that I've ever been in.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you've done hard things. That's the part about it. Okay, we did get some last minute stragglers. So Joe, you asked what question did you see that you wanted to touch on?
I saw the one somebody asked.
Oh, there, the
Yeah,
outlet.
the art
So,
one.
yeah. How do you know what art is your best outlet? What's your thought on that?
Trial and error, my guys.
Yeah.
So if words aren't for you, because that was part of the question there. Music without words, I still do that. Like, I have a piano back behind me, keyboard, and I'll just sit there and jam out on that when I'm feeling down. I have a guitar over there. I used to paint. Like, when I was in the hospital, I painted. They were horrible paintings. They were no good. Like, they were just very abstract, not good at all, but they got the feelings out and onto paper. And that's what my poems do now. They get the feelings out and onto paper. And that's really what it is. I mean, so it's just trial and error.
Yeah.
I went through a few different types of art before I settled on poetry. None of them were very good. Poetry I'm sticking with, because that one I'm all right at it. But none of the other ones were very good.
So I didn't read the question clearly at the beginning, just so everybody knows what it is. How do you know what art is your best outlet, and what if words are hard for you? So Joe just mentioned painting. Of course, there's poetry. We know Aarna has gotten a lot of her emotions out onto paper, but even if words are out completely, there is always dance. You can turn on a song that strikes a chord in you and just start moving, right? You don't have to be as beautiful a dancer as Abi is. You could just get in your own space and just work it out, just get moving, and just feel all your feels and work it out that way, right? So one more question for Aarna. This person says, "You're awesome. and they want to know what helped you get back up from situations that sometimes felt hopeless. I mean, you shared some poetry that revealed some darkness that you were feeling. So what helped you get back up from those hard places?
I'm just thinking about how, like I'm whatever hardship I'm going through.
Wait, you muted, I think. Aarna, we couldn't hear you. Pause. Testing. Can you cut out?
Hello?
There you are. You're back.
I was just saying that the belief that whatever I go through makes me more resilient was definitely something that kept me going through like times where I felt hopeless, and just knowing that healing isn't linear. So I wasn't pressuring myself to feel like great or like feel my best. And I think for me, I've never tried to convince myself of like when I feel hopeless, I just let myself feel hopeless. Like that's a valid feeling, and I let myself feel that way. And then things change. I keep going with my life. I don't let it obstruct my life. I talk to friends. I vent to friends. That's something that really helps me. And I just kind of have trust in the universe. My spirituality is something that's very important to me, whether it be like Hinduism or my tarot cards. When I really get super hopeless, I definitely pull out the tarot cards. So yeah.
That's awesome. Anybody else have some tips on pulling out of dark places?
I guess one of the things that I just kind of thought about as you asked the question is not getting on to yourself to immediately know the answer. I think one of the biggest things is like letting it happen, letting it a lot of times I've seen so many circumstances where something's identified, it's like, cool, now what do I do about it? Don't always have to jump to that right away. Sometimes it really does wonders to get to know it and get to understand it, spend time with it, as long as it's not suffocating you. But if you're shoving it away, there's a difference between not letting something get to you and repressing it. And if you're repressing it, then you're not facing it. And there's no way over. It's just through. So I think Aarna, what you said is really, really awesome. There are so many different aspects of interest that aren't necessarily our creative passions or whatnot else. Something like I myself have a couple decks of tarot cards that I love to spend time with, and different things like that, things that very well while you're trying to navigate something that might be a little bit more unfamiliar. Is all I guess I can say on that.
Yeah, can I actually piggyback off of Savanna? Like, there's definitely times when you want to kind of sit with your emotions, but then there's also times when you don't. And I feel like that's been like kind of a fine line for me, because sometimes I'm just like, well, I don't want to feel this way. And then it kind of keeps me in that like loop of feeling really sad or however I'm feeling. And so for me, actually kind of recentering myself, talking to myself, this might sound weird, but being like, okay, like I feel like this right now, but it's not going to last. And so knowing that it's not going to last, you can sometimes get yourself out of it. And I've kind of found to be like a miracle, because sometimes I'm literally just like, okay, Jada, just like get over it. And sometimes it works. I don't know. So I guess like sometimes just doing that and like almost not trying to force yourself out of it, but like let yourself leave that place, because like you need to, and the more you do it, the easier it'll get.
You guys, I feel like we could stay on and keep going with this all night long. Your experience is so valuable to the world right now. I just think that more people need to hear not only your performances tonight, but this wisdom that you're sharing, and it's all grown out of the work that you've done through these hard times. So I applaud all of you for so many reasons, but especially for the performances you gave tonight, amazing. And just for this time that you've offered us to share and give us just more information. I feel like we should do this weekly. We could have a weekly episode, maybe something on SEL TV, right, Dr. McClure?
Yes, let's do it. Let's make
Your
it
resident
happen.
experts. Yeah. All right.
Look,
Well,
I have to pay them though. They're
I don't know. You can
they're
work something out.
superstars. I have to pay them a
I'd be all
lot.
right with that.
All right. Well, I think we need to, as much as we could go on and on, I think we need to wrap up our time here together. But I really do want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, for sticking with us through for this amazing show, and then also through this panel discussion. We're grateful that you're here, and we want you to know that tonight was a sneak peak of this National Teen Show. That means there's more of this show to come. So if you want to follow along and find out what's happening next with this show, with some of these teens, please go to thisismybrave.org. And you can subscribe to our newsletter there. Then you can stay on top of any upcoming breaking events. So thank you, all of you, for joining this evening. Those at home, those here, especially Dr. McClure, we appreciate your insight. I've walked away with some really great information from all of you. You guys gave us some good nuggets. So thank you so much. And we hope you all have a wonderful evening.